Hi grade 9 students, welcome to your last lesson in English for the first quarter. Finally, 1 out of 4 quarters done already, so good job, no? Now for the last lesson, we have what we call speech styles. But before we begin with that one, there are some people who wants to talk to you. Let's meet them. Let's see. There we go. So the first person is Father Nolan, and he says, "Good morning." How would you reply to him? Think about it. Perhaps siguro makita nyo siya sa corridor sa school, and he says, "Good morning" to you. How would you respond? Or what would you say to him? Let's have the next person. The next is the ever guapo Lee Jong-suk, and he waves "Annyeong." And then after your kilig, what will you say to him? You have a lot, perhaps you want to say a lot of things to him, no? Perhaps you like him as much as I do. Then after the guwapo ni Jong-suk, we have Cassie na nakabalik na sa school. And she says, she has chika. "Bes, I have chika." How would you respond to that? Let's say Cassie is your classmate and she just got back to ESPS after being told off by her tita or her sibling pala, kapatid pala niya yun, half-sister. How will you respond to Cassie's invitation to make chika? After chikahan with Cassie, you went to the doctor and Dr. Kim asks you, how can he help you today? So perhaps, since this is, you went there by yourself, on your own, perhaps you can share with Dr. Kim your health concern. And the last person who wants to talk to you is Grandma Coco. How do you talk with your grandparents? How do you talk to your grandma? Perhaps you can tell her about your day, no? Now, I want you to think of your responses. How do you respond to all the different persons who talked to you, who visited you earlier, a few slides earlier, no? Were there any differences on how you responded to the different persons? If yes, that's good. If there's differences, that's good. If none, we can work on that in this discussion, no? So let's begin with the actual lesson. Again, our lesson for today, the last lesson for English in the first quarter, is what we call speech styles. Speech style is a form of language that the speaker uses and is characterized with a degree of formality. This implies the language used by speakers varies based on given situations or settings and the persons involved. Now, I want you to focus on the phrases in red. Let's begin with the first phrase, degree of formality. So, there are different situations that would allow you to be casual. Perhaps you are with your friends, or it would require you to be very formal. Siguro kayo ay nasa isang, let's say, graduation rites, or let's say, isang kasal. So, depending on how formal you should be, there is an appropriate type of language or speech style to use. Also, it is also based on situations or settings. Siguro if you are in a park, in the mall, you can be relaxed. Your language can be casual again. But perhaps when you are in the school, although you can still be casual with your classmates, there should be a difference with how you talk with your teachers, with Sir Ben, with Father Nolan. So that is where we vary our language usage depending on the persons involved. And there are, I believe, 5 speech styles that we will be discussing today, beginning with here. These are the 5. We have frozen, formal, consultative, casual, and intimate, no? So I think we are most familiar with these 2, formal and casual. So let's see how frozen, consultative, and intimate language is. Let's find out later on. Let's begin first with frozen. This is generally used in very formal settings and respectful situations. No, usually these are the types of event that has a format already. So kumbaga, kung paano siya ginagawa dati, hanggang ngayon, ganun pa rin siya ginagawa. Later on, when I show you the examples, you will see what I mean by that. No, kung paano siya ginagawa dati, ganun pa rin hanggang ngayon. Static, there are no changes with how things are done, particularly with the language. It does not require any feedback from the audience. Usually, isang tao lang po ang nagsasalita. No, isang tao lang yung nagde-deliver ng speech. It usually uses long sentences with good grammar and vocabulary. Since it has been present ever since the past, yun na yung ginagamit, hindi na po siya nabago. Kumbaga, same lang yung format, same language, kumbaga, same script din ang ginagamit. Again, use of language is fixed and relatively static. It does not change. The language, the words, the sentences that you say in a frozen type or style does not change at all. Let's see the examples to further understand. National Anthem Pledge, panunumpa ng katapatan sa watawat ng Pilipinas. From the get-go, siguro mula nung ipinanganak ako, nung nagkaisip na ako, yun na yun. Hindi na siya nagbago. It is something that is very formal in nature because you are talking about, let's say, something important in your culture. It is part of your identity. Next is school creeds. The vision statement of Espiritu Santo Parochial School. Diba? That does not change. Because again, that is parang the identity of the school. Another more common event that uses the frozen type is marriage. In any other church ceremonies at that, binyag, kasal, kumpil, first communion, kung paano yun sinimulan dati, ganun pa rin siya hanggang ngayon. Siyempre, iba yung panahon ni Jesus. But the moment there was an established church already, kung paano ginagawa yun dati, ganun pa rin siya hanggang ngayon. Makikita niyo dun sa mga binabas ng pare, yung mga kopya na hawak ng pare, ganun po iyon. No? That is what we mean by static. It does not change at all. Same pa rin from the past to the present. Speech for a state ceremony. Kunyari, usually ito ay ginagamit sa mga privileged speeches ng ating mga senador. I'm not sure if you've watched that, tuwing may mga gusto silang ipasang batas, they give out speeches. Or let's say, kapag araw ng mga bayani, there will be an event in Luneta Park or somewhere else, and then our government officials would often, more often than not, deliver a very, 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 very formal speech. Although it actually depends on the person talking as well, because we know right now that there are some who do not practice that when it comes to state ceremonies, no? So I hope that's clear to you. Good example dito, para matandaan nyo yung frozen type agad, yung mga ritual ng simbahan. Same lang lagi. The next is formal style or type. It is used to speaking to medium and large groups. Usually, ito yung mga seminars. Kung may naka-attend na kayo ng seminars, ang teachers, maraming seminars na ganyan. And the speaker must frame, hindi po frame whole sentences ahead before they are delivered. Usually, ito yung mga prepared speeches na ilalagay nila yung copy sa harap nila and then i-deliver na lang nila habang titingin sa copy, titingin sa audience. Ganun po siya. It avoids slang terminologies. Hindi siya pwedeng gumamit ng swag. Hindi siya ganun. Hindi siya si Kim Bok-ju. Hindi rin pwedeng be, te, mamsh. Bawal po yung ganun. It has to be conventional language. Ayan. Language is comparatively rigid and has a set, agreed-upon vocabulary that is well documented. Is often of a standard variety. Kung ano yung proper grammar, proper sentence structure, yun po dapat ang pinapractice sa formal type. One example of a formal type na written work ay inyong theme paper. No? Siyempre, you use formal language, right spelling, right punctuation, things like that. Ganun po ang formal type. And it is often used in meetings. Hindi ka naman papa-meeting, let's say, ang ka-meeting ko, mga kapwa ko teachers. Ano na mga be? Hindi siya ganun. The meeting will now come to order. Speeches perhaps, graduation, magde-deliver ka ng speech, ikaw ang valedictorian. Pwede kang mag-joke, oo. Pwede kang magbigay ng funny stories. Pero, kailangan majority of the speech maayos. Same goes for school lessons. When we discuss, this is formal, especially in the face-to-face, no? But sometimes when the lesson allows us to be quite relaxed, pwede rin naman yun. Basta majority of the period, majority of discussion, you remain formal, you remain professional, no? When you say school lessons, discussion portion, discussion. Kasi later on, we will encounter a different type na nasa classroom din. Court. Kapag nasa korte ka, di ba very formal? If you are familiar with while you were sleeping, very serious ang mood nila most of the time. Except for that one time that Lee Jong-suk's character nag-baby talk siya para makausap niya yung batang witness. But when he was talking to the judge and to the other attorneys, other prosecutors, naging seryoso siya ulit. So, kailangan dominant pa rin yung formal type of speaking sa isang court. In an interview, perhaps, nag-a-apply ka sa school. Kailangan to impress them, practice good grammar and good vocabulary. Yun po ang formal type. We move on to the next. The next type is the consultative type. So, the root word of consultative is consult. So, meron kang tinatanong. Used in semi-formal communication and it happens in two-way participation. If yung first two, usually isang tao lang nagsasalita, sa consultative, dalawa na kayo. This is more, let's say, operational. When say operational, mas interactive siya. There is really something happening. There's really active communication happening between two people. Sentence should be shorter and spontaneous. Wala ka ng script, hindi ka na naglilista kung ano yung sasabihin mo. Kung ano lang yung masabi mo, yun na yun. But again, since semi-formal ang nakalagay dyan, meron pa ring degree of being respectful. Let's see the examples. Regular conversations at schools and companies. Usually sa school setting, let's say kami mga teachers nyo, kahit magkakaibigan po kami, when we talk about work, we use professional language pa rin. Miss, pwede po bang mahiram yung ganito nyo? Miss, can I ask for your help? Pag kwentuhan lang. Kapag trabaho, magiging trabaho. Let's highlight the third and fourth example. Teacher and student. Miss, pwede po bang magtanong? Casual siya pakinggan kasi nakatagalog, pero may respeto pa rin pakinggan. Formal pa rin. Miss, pwede po bang magtanong? Even, Miss, may I go out? The word may there denotes formality as well as respect. No? You ask for help from your teachers or even from your classmate. Uy, friend, can you help me with this one? Pwedeng pa-explain. Yung tono natin, no? Doon na nagbabago iyon. And the last is doctor-patient. You ask help from the doctor to determine what's wrong with you, to give you proper medicine. The best example of this one is the doctor-patient. Kasi madalas, sa doktor tayo, kumukonsulta. Yun ang laging tandaan, no? And the fourth one is casual type. Ito, yung everyday language. Often relaxed and focused on just getting the information out. Hindi kailangan tama yung grammar, hindi kailangan tama yung pronunciation. Ang mahalaga lang, masabi mo yung gusto mong masabi. Slangs are used quite often. Tawagan natin, ma'am, mami, may tanong ako. Be, tulungan mo naman ako. Girl, pa-print. Ganon. Friendly type of conversation, no? This is often used by friends, family members, even chat and phone calls and messages. Although mas madalas pa rin sa chats. And the last type is intimate. Completely private language within a family of very close friends or group. Uses personal language codes. So, kumbaga, ito yung tipong, isang pa lang ng kaibigan mo, alam mo na. Yung tipong, magkatinginan lang kayo, alam mo na ang ibig sabihin niya. Best, kunyari, sa mga babae, ang sabi nila, best CR. Yung kapag sabi mo best CR, ibig sabihin may pag-uusapan kayo. That is an intimate type of conversation. Because the people who are talking understands each other without having to use complete language. Pwedeng, uy, psst, ganun lang. Gets na nila agad. Hindi mo kailangan i-explain ng mahaba. Kasi girl, ganito eh. Oo, alam ko na. Ganon. Ganon ang intimate type. And often, it uses terms of endearment, slang, or expressions whose meaning is shared within a small group of persons. Hindi ko alam kung nauso sa inyo to, pero when I was in high school, yung mga crush ng kaibigan ko, may mga code names sila. So, ganun po yung ibig sabihin nun, no? May mga ilang pangalan na may ibig sabihin lang siya para sa amin. Terms of endearment, let's say sa isang couple, love, babe, ano pa ba? You know that one, no? Spouse, husband and wife, fiancé, best friends, and couple. Now again, there are 5 speech styles, beginning with frozen. And ang keyword natin sa frozen speech style ay it does not change, static, no? Very formal. Sa formal naman, less rigid than the frozen type, although it requires proper grammar and proper sentence structure. The next type is consultative. Best example here is yung doctor and patient. You ask for help, you ask for information. Next is casual conversation between friends. And an even more, and when you are in a very close group, it becomes an intimate speech style, no? Questions, perhaps if you have any, you can send them to my email, avery.lapid@esps.edu.ph, and I will try to respond to you as soon as I can. I will also be posting this video, the link of this video, onto Orange app so that you can review this one in your free time. So that's all for our last lesson, grade 9. I'll see you in the next Rise or Soar session. Thank you. Bye-bye.